How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Pokemon 2019 series. I will be covering episode 20 now, my third video today. And I thought that this episode was decent. I think it was a little bit better than last week's episode, but still far from my favorite episode in this series. There's a few things I did like in this episode, and then a few other things I was kind of on. So I will get into that shortly. Anyways, if you like this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe as I cover this series on a weekly basis or whenever the episodes come out. Anyways, on to the review. So in this episode, it's basically Ash, Gou, and the Professor are hosting an orienteering event in which they're showing a bunch of kids that are accompanying them a bunch of Pokemon. They're basically having a mini competition where they have to make it to the Vermilion City port, but they have to go around town and look up Pokemon and basically teach the children about the Pokemon, look them up in the Pokedex, and whoever records the most Pokemon before you get to the Vermilion City port wins. So they split up into three different teams. There's Ash's team, Gou's team, in which our queen, Koharu, which we must all stand Koharu, by the way. This is probably the most screen time she's had in a long time, since I believe episode 11, so we gotta stand Koharu, guys. She's the queen of this series. But all jokes aside, Gou and Koharu have their own team, and the Professor has his team. We don't really see much of his team. But anyways, they split off into three different directions. So Ash's team, they run into a bunch of Pokemon. I believe it's Persian, Meowth, Rattata, Eradicate, and they're kind of just walking around. And Ash is basically kind of trying to show the kids like what the Pokemon are doing, showing them how they battle, which leads into a pretty cool battle in which they're looking off at the port, and Ash gets challenged to a battle. The trainer Ash faces off against is from the Johto region, and he has a Meganium in which he challenges Ash with. And of course, that Rotom announcer is literally just right there, right at the perfect time. I like how this thing is just like right there at the perfect time when basically the battle begins, or the challenge begins. So it's a one-on-one, and it's Meganium versus Pikachu, which is a very good battle, in which Pikachu actually takes a Solar Beam point blank. And the trainer from Johto is like, yeah, nobody's survived that, or no other Pokemon has ever gotten up after taking that Solar Beam. But because Ash's Pikachu is level 100, it withstands it, and it manages to take down Meganium. And because of this, Ash ranks up, and he goes up to 15-12 in the Pokemon World Championships, which is pretty cool. So the kids not only see an awesome battle, they actually get to learn a little bit about the Pokemon World Championships. Meanwhile, Gou is being Gou, an annoying Koharu, which she's not having any of this, but Gou ends up catching a bunch of Pokemon because this is Gou. He's Pokemon Go the trainer, so he's just got to catch a bunch of Pokemon. And I had to pull up Bulbapedia because this kid, he caught a ton of Pokemon in this episode. I think it's the most he's caught. I think he's up to 38 Pokemon now caught, which is crazy. In 20 episodes, he's already at 38. How much did Ash have at episode 20? I don't think he had even like half of that. I believe he only had like 5 or 6 to my knowledge. Someone in the comment section go ahead and post how many Pokemon Ash had by episode 20 of the original series, by the way. Anyways, Gou, according to Bulbapedia from this episode, from what I saw, he caught a Pidgey, both Nidorans, an Oddish, a Poliwag, a Grimer, and an Ekans, and then we'll get into the last one later. Because Gou tries to catch a Farfetch, and each time he tries to catch this dang Farfetch, it just bats the Pokeball right at his face, which I don't know why, but that's strangely satisfying to see. I think Gou's getting a little taste of his own medicine, if you know what I mean. Anyways, Koharu over here, she's still seemingly a bit cold towards Pokemon as the Nidorans and the Pidgey come up to her, and she kind of freaks out, which was a funny scene. Ultimately, Ash and Gou end up meeting up with the Professor, and Team Rocket had actually been observing Ash earlier and kind of was trying to figure out what they were up to. And that's when they trick Ash and Gou. Of course, Team Rocket always seems to get Ash all the time. But anyways, all joking aside, they actually tell them, oh yeah, Lugia's been spotted, let's do a raid battle. And it's Ash and Go and Koharu that would be basically participating in the raid battle. And as this raid battle is about ready to start, it turns out to be a trap, and Pikachu, Reboot, and Yamper are all caught. And it seems like all hope is lost as they're getting away, and that's when Lugia strikes out of nowhere. The real Lugia comes out of nowhere and saves the Pokemon. And Team Rocket are pretty annoyed, and they get their gotcha machine, because why not? And they get a Skarmory and a Crobat. And against Pikachu and Reboot, they do a double battle, but against Pikachu and Reboot, Team Rocket are at a major disadvantage. That's why they try to get as far away from the Pokemon and use Air Slash, so they got the advantage, so their Pikachu and Reboot's attacks don't land. That's when Ash comes up with the genius idea of having Go command Reboot to use Ember, in which it uses that, and it shoots it over the Pikachu, which uses Iron Tail, which takes out Team Rocket. The episode concludes with the kids actually admiring Ash and Go, with the kids that followed Go around actually wanting to catch more Pokemon, or catch every Pokemon, just like Go. And then the kids that followed Ash actually want to battle like Ash. And interesting enough, as the sun sets, the Farfetch that Go had been trying to catch multiple times throughout this episode showed up, and it would seem like the same result would happen where it just bat the Pokeball right back at Go's face. But Go actually tricks Farfetch and throws a softball, I guess. And yeah, he catches Farfetch here, and yeah, Go is up to 38 Pokemon now. And that's where the episode ends. I guess before I actually go into the next section, I want to say notably the ending of the episode actually changed, which was actually really interesting, because not only does Grookey show up, but Dustform Lycanroc shows up. So Alola episode win, guys. I'm desperately waiting for an Alola revisit, because we all want to go back to Melemele Island and see Kukui and Burnett and possibly have a baby. Who knows? So first off, I just want to say that I'm glad that this episode wasn't a recap episode. I know a lot of people in the community that were kind of concerned, thinking that this would just end up being a recap episode, with Ash and Go having flashbacks of them reaffirming their goals and what they've done so far in the series, which I was afraid that was going to happen too. But thankfully we didn't get that. We did get some flashbacks, but they're very brief, and it didn't really affect the overall flow of the episode, so I'm pretty satisfied with that. So for me, the best part in this episode was definitely Ash's battle with the guy from Johto, which his name is Seiya, so Ash defeated the Overcautious Hero. By the way, you guys should check out Overcautious Hero. It's a pretty funny anime. Anyways, so yeah, I actually really enjoyed this battle. It was not the longest battle, and it was against a guy that we're probably never going to see again, but it was still pretty good. So hopefully in the future, maybe the next battle that Ash has is against somebody we know, which potentially could be Karina. But anyways, yeah, this was my favorite part of the episode. I also did appreciate the fact that the kids actually looked up to Ash and Go, with the kids that went with Ash, that, like I mentioned a little bit ago, they want to follow in Ash's footsteps and become better battlers, or train to become the very best that no one ever was. And then the kids that went with Go, they want to catch a bunch of Pokemon, which I guess is pretty nice. Lastly, I want to mention that I actually appreciate the fact that I think Koharu got the appropriate amount of screen time she deserves in this series, in this episode. The last couple of episodes, she's either made brief appearances or didn't appear at all. This is the most screen time she's literally gotten since her Focus episode, which was about 9 episodes ago. Which is a little disappointing if you ask me. Because, guys, Koharu's our queen. We can't let her get limited amounts of screen time. She needs the most screen time that she deserves. But all jokes aside, I do appreciate the fact that she got a good amount of screen time this episode. I will say I was hoping that there's a little bit more to her conversations with Go. Like, she starts to acknowledge that, hey, ever since Go started hanging out with Ash and started going out on trips with him, he's changed a lot. He's starting to mature a little bit, and he's got his own goal, and he's evolved it. I kind of was hoping maybe they would hammer that home a little bit more, so hopefully in a future episode, she reflects on basically her friendship with Go and kind of sees how he's changed in the series so far, especially with the upcoming episode with Reboot potentially leaving for a little while. So hopefully she sees that Go has become a more mature person, and he's actually developing into quite a good Pokemon trainer. But we will see. Now, there are 3 issues I did have with this episode. 2 kind of nitpicks, and 1 that I feel kind of just annoyed me a little bit. So for the nitpicks, I think I should get the obvious one out of the way. And that Gou, besides Farfetch, again, I didn't really care for these captures. I do not like how Gou is catching his Pokemon so dang easy. I mean, I did like the fact they took out Pidgey and Nidoran. That was a nice scene, but for the rest of them, besides Farfetch, he just caught them and that's it. They just go back off to the lab. Or wherever, I don't know. But, I don't know. I hope this changes in the future. Hopefully, when Gou and Reboot have their little fight in the next 2 episodes, Gou changes and he approaches his captures a little bit better and more maturely. And not just be Pokemon Go the trainer. So that was nitpick number 1. The second issue I did have, which is another nitpick, I did feel like there were some scenes that padded out a little bit too long. An example would be when Ash and the kids were running off when they split up initially. And he ran into the Meowth and Persian and the Rattata and Eradicate. I felt like that whole sequence was a bit tedious. And I feel like it could have been either a lot shorter and there could have been more time dedicated to other parts of the episode. Or it could have just been very brief. I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of that scene in particular. Lastly, I feel like the scene where Mew transformed as Lugia, saving Pikachu, Reboot, and Yamper, I kind of felt like that was a little underwhelming, like it kind of came out of nowhere. I do feel like I really wish that Mew would have turned around as Lugia and greeted everybody. And like, oh wow, it's Lugia! And the kids get to see Lugia. That would have actually been a pretty nice scene, but nope, it just saves the Pokemon and then disappears off. And that's it. So I was a little underwhelmed with that scene in particular. That's all I got for this review, guys. So overall, this episode was decent. Not the best episode of the series, but far from the worst. So I think it was a little bit better than last week's episode, so I'm going to give this episode a 6 out of 10. Decent score. Anyways, guys, what'd you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Post your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll talk to you all later. Stay safe out there, guys. No, there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world right now with a certain virus affecting everybody. So I hope you're all staying safe, washing your hands, and yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of the week. I'll talk to you guys later.